Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Karen, Vintage Elegance Inspiration. I am sharing the 3 remaining junk journals out of my Soirée collection that I've been working on for the past month to 6 weeks, and I've got them all ready now to go to their new homes. This is Chamomile, and she is, let's see, she's got 72 page sides, 41 pieces of ephemera, roughly 41, 42, and is 8.5 by 5.5. The spine is 1 3/4 inches. She features a beautiful lace wrap skirt closure, a vintage piece of jewelry, a brooch on the front, some vintage buttons, some beautiful vintage or antique pearl rope trim that was gifted to me by Georgianne, some beautiful vintage and antique laces and fabric, and all sorts of yummy goodness. So let's open it up inside and see what she's made of. I'm recording each of these journals separately to keep the videos a little bit shorter and easier to identify for the recipients so that they can rewatch just their journal. The skirts are removable. These were so fun to create, and this was my 6th one, and I just am falling more in love with them as we go along. They are just so delightful. So it's a separate piece that comes right off the journal, so you can use it all by itself, and it's lightweight and very portable. I left the selvage edge fray trim on this edge because I liked it. I thought it added a real vintage look to this gorgeous fabric. Isn't that just stunning? Full of lace and pearls. Beautiful, beautiful trims. So I'm just going to show the wrap skirt. The inside of it is probably about 5-6 layers of lace, and I do a support band here, attach the ribbon closure, and then on the other side it's just all layered up. So I've got the support band, this beautiful lace on the bottom, ruffled lace, some more gathered lace, and then the vintage or antique piece here. 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of lace. And this, I must say, this piece here was actually a collar. That's what I found to be the most workable for these wrap skirts, if you're interested in doing them. It was actually a collar that came down square, and then it's got the tie closures, and I kept looking at the ties going, oh, I have to use that for a closure somehow. So I cut the one side off, as you can see, and I wanted to keep the one flower here for a finishing touch for around the back side of the journal. And then I can make another one with this one, at least another one, and pockets and so forth. So those oddball pieces that you sometimes find, you look at and you go, I love that lace, but I don't know what I do with it. These are perfect. Perfect for adding to your little skirts. So this does come off separately, and the recipient can tell me if she likes or wants to change out the piece that I have chosen to go with the journal. I've got stick pins. I have some other brooches and earrings and so forth that make beautiful finishing touches to your journal closures. Anyhow, enough about my little wrap skirts. The topper is a little booklet that I have made using vintage lace, of course, some ruffled seam binding in the pink, and then just some tea-dyed and coffee-dyed papers, some with metallic gold in them, and then some die cuts of teacups. How pretty is that? And I can see I am way out of frame. Ooh. I wonder if I'm going to have to redo this. Well, we'll see. So this is Chamomile. I've included a bag of beautiful tea, and they come in a silk sachet inside. So a nice little thinking of you piece for when they look through their journals. Another booklet that I've done just in the more taupey, mushroomy colors, and extra writing space, and then a card for the recipient, which I like to do. I've got some vintage lace that I've laid all the way through from side to side. And let's start. I've got some beautiful pearl trimmed lace on the page edge here. And the first tag is vintage wallpaper. I've done some texture paste on there, some metallic paper that I have embossed, some beautiful vintage cotton trim ribbon at the top, and stamped on the back with a beautiful flower. Piece of ephemera, vintage doily, and some gorgeous, gorgeous appliques that I have layered. They're very dimensional. This particular piece of rhinestone and all the little blingy pieces, they're quite thick. So they can, you know, I mean, you could cut them out if you don't want to use them, but they are really part of the character of the journal. Stamped on the back with the words "Eat Cake." Some gorgeous vintage to antique lace there that looks like French lace. An applique here. And just these small little flaps pages. This one is a card from Lorna Taylor's Tea Party ephemera kit. And the song "Polly Put the Kettle On." Vintage book page, some die cuts. And the story begins. Small tag here. Vintage sheet music. And a beautiful image. I used many, many kits, as usual, and I will list them all in the description box below. This is another tag made out of vintage wallpaper. I've used appliques and these sweet little flower girls digital images, and stamped on the back. Some book page from a Victoriana book from long ago. Some avocado dyed metallic rose gold paper. Tea makes everything better. This sweet little image of these children having a tea party. And this gorgeous flower that I've taken off a great big doily. Some beautiful trim here. A library card stamped on the back. I used the teacup as a pocket. Some of these kits I've used in previous journals a number of times, so you may have seen them, just done a different way. And these are one of the journaling cards that I like to do, made out of Edith Holden book page, some crinkled seam binding, and then I add the vintage pearl shank buttons to the side. This book page was so fragile. I don't know why I used it, but I tried to reinforce it with some beautiful vintage lace and some die cuts. That's from Les Mis. Some more vintage sheet music and a die cut with a sweet little spoon in it. Beautiful applique on the side here, and some pieces of ephemera, fussy cut flower, and just a little booklet for extra journaling space. And I just got to put this in here so I remember to fix it later. Some more vintage lace on the edges. Lots and lots of vintage lace. Probably at least 10 pieces on the page edges per journal. These are not die cuts. They are, I fussy cut all of these because this stamp set is so old. And it's called, oh, what's it called? Fragments. China Fragments, I think it's called, by Heartfelt Creations. And then just a fussy cut digital rolls there. Some pieces of ephemera, from Lorna's Tea Party. TaylorMadeJournals is her business name if you're looking for her shop. And she makes beautiful stamps as well. Those you have to custom order from her. This is a mixed media tag that I've done some decoupaging with tissue paper, some antique lace, some vintage lace here, gorgeous digitals, and then some tea-dyed cupro stamped on the back. Vellum paper, and I've got a small little tuck spot up here with it made out of a teapot that I fussy cut. One of my journaling cards that I use planner paper, tea dye it and cut it in half, and then it makes 2 journaling cards, some vintage lace and rosebud trim, fussy cut flower, sweet little images, and some French book page, crinkled seam binding, and some old vintage buttons. I just love the color of these. Thought they were just so very, very pretty. And on the right side, we've got a die cut. This is actually a coffee cup, but I use it as a teacup here, and a spoon. Lots of room for journaling. Lots of room. When you take all the ephemera out, there's lots of room. And if you use a writing board, it's not so bulky. Very, very doable for journal writing. And on this page, I've got another wallpaper, vintage wallpaper tag with some vintage music, sheet music. Some applique trim that I have tea dyed, stamped on the back with a magnolia. Beautiful veiled lace, that's Chantilly galloon lace that I've wrapped around the page. Piece of ephemera that says Bon Appetit on the back. And a sweet little vintage doily with a teapot charm. And the center of the journal features this beautiful heart-shaped lace doily, crocheted lace with the flowers on it. Isn't that just so beautiful? The charms in the middle, beads and charms, are very similar in each journal. Tones of pink and aqua. I just think it's so pretty. I love adding journal jewelry. That's one of my favorite things, especially towards the end. I know I'm almost finished. It's such a measure of accomplishment. It's like putting lipstick on or your makeup or your jewelry as you're getting ready to go out. Another journaling card and a teacup for extra journaling space. This is another very vintage wallpaper tag that I've made using this antique French lace. Look at that. It is amazing. And I've added some beautiful appliques here with a lot of dimension stamped on the back. I love to use gold accent. I'm not much of a silver person at all, but I do like to have mixed metals, but primarily I use gold everywhere. Some cute little pieces of ephemera here, little children's little tea party, and these are both stamped on the back with teacups. And the right side of the page has some beautiful ribbon trim inserted into it. Gorgeous vintage lace. And then just an envelope. You can tuck whatever you'd like in there. Stamped with the sentiment, where there is tea, there is love. Sweet little birdie and children's tea party. And I just tuck this inside here. There's all kinds of extra little spots that you can add your own ephemera to and move it around. That's the whole idea of ephemera, is it's got more than one use or more than one place you can put it. Some crochet trim here. I did mention that a lot of the trims and embellishments are bulky. I've allowed for that with the width of the spine. It's very challenging to sew the signatures in, let me tell you, when you're going through so many layers, but I did it. Staffordshire teacup. A tag with a Mademoiselle serving tea on the back, and a beautiful journaling card from Graphic 45's Botanical Tea Collection, and some beautiful netting topper. Gorgeous image, some beautiful vintage lace, vintage crochet doily piece, and this is, I thought this was glued down. No, it's loose. fussy cut spoon here. You can add whatever you would like into the little tuck spot. I tucked it under there so that it doesn't get caught on something and rip. Fussy cut flower. This is a music page that I have folded differently. Ephemera piece stamped on the back with a tea bag. And just extra space to tuck something that you don't necessarily want everyone to see right off the bat. These tiny little Tim Holtz paper clips are just so adorable. Very cute. I always forget to use them. Some more of the Les Mis book page there, and the vintage lace holding it in place. Vintage doily applique and handkerchief that I have made into a pocket on this side, and just some ephemera pieces stamped on the back with patisserie and gâteau de au chocolat. And I would love this spread. I just think this is stunning. Isn't she so pretty? This lace, I have to go see if I can get more of it. It is just so delicate. Mostly pastel colors in this whole journal series this time. Again, the decoupaged tissue paper on mixed media paper stamped on the back with a rose. And I don't have that much vintage ephemera, authentic vintage ephemera, but I'm working on it. I bought this sweet little recipe book, and it's on just note paper, but it's somebody's handwritten recipes that are just so sweet. This particular one is raisin tarts. Growing up, I used to love having those. And then a vintage postcard that is dated 1911. So that's 111 years old. That's why I've kept it in the plastic cover for protection. A small antique brass teacup charm. Some more of the avocado dyed paper, fussy cut flower, and some more vintage ephemera. This is an envelope from 1939 out of that scrapbook that I bought. Piece of ephemera from Lorna's Tea Party collection. The best things in life are sweet. So true. And some lovely ruffled vintage eyelet cotton here. I've just threaded some pink sari silk ribbon through the holes. When your day seems topsy-turvy and as stormy as can be, there's nothing quite as tranquil as a nice hot cup of tea. Some vintage sheet music on this side. I've got my business card here and a piece of Tim Holtz ephemera, teacup, and a fussy cut flower. This lace I've had for a long time and I love it. When I see stuff like this, I have to get it because I think somewhere down the road there's going to be a perfect project for it. And I love the tone, the color tones of this page. I just think it's so beautiful the way it blends and beckons you to look inside. Just a small tea-dyed paper doily, a tea bag here that I have added some baker's twine to. You can tuck something really tiny in there if you would like. Absolutely. And then I've just got a very, very simple tag that I've added one of the toppers that says tea time, especially made for you. That can be journaled on completely and tucked away. Fussy cut rose here on the back of the book page. And then here we've got a couple of pieces of ephemera, a die cut flower, and a piece of ephemera from Tea Party with some stamping on the back. And a beautiful vintage doily with gorgeous applique and a teacup die cut here. And this is the last page. Some beautiful ephemera stamped on the back with a cupcake and some Royal Albert china in that digital kit, stamped on the back with Café Parisien, one of Graphic 45's stamp collection pieces. and some beautiful rose vintage lace edge that I've got here. Colors are just perfect for this journal. Of course, a lot of pink. And the back page includes a this tag that I've added the applique. I was going to say vintage wallpaper, but it's not. It's just tea-dyed paper, script writing on it. Very dimensional with the pearls, but I love it. And stamped on the back with the roses. And then in each journal, I have included 2 photographs from my daughter's wedding shower. We had a high tea, and we made the food. And I just thought it evoked a fancy, feminine, and inspiring photo for the new owner of this journal. And I hope she likes it, because I sure would. So this is Chamomile, however you say it. And she comes with her sweet little wrap skirt. And that is what she looks like. Thank you so much for watching. Join me for the next one.